All right, welcome to This Explainer. We are jumping right in today because we're looking at the ultimate blueprint for generating breakthrough ideas. And we're going to do that by totally dismantling this really intimidating myth of pure originality. So if you're trying to build something incredible, but you're just feeling stuck at the starting line, well, you are in exactly the right place.
You know that feeling, right? We've all been there. You're just sitting there, staring at a blank screen, literally waiting for a lightning bolt of $1 million idea to just strike out of nowhere. Because, well, we've been told our whole lives that success means you have to be entirely, completely original. But honestly, here's the brutal truth about how things are actually made and why waiting for that magical lightning bolt means you've kind of already lost the game.
And here it is. As author Austin Kleon brilliantly points out in his book Steal Like an Artist, nothing is truly original. Honestly, zero. Every single new idea, every massive business, every revolutionary product out there, it's really just a mashup. It's a remix of older ideas. You aren't creating from thin air, you're just building on what already came before you. So here is our agenda for today. We're going to cover 1. The myth of originality. 2. The Barbie secret. 3. Steal how they think. 4. Analog versus digital spaces. 5. Embrace creative constraints. And finally, 6. Start your swipe file. We're going to go step by step through the exact formula the world's most creative people use to build their fortunes. Okay, starting right off with number 1, the myth of originality and remixing history. Let's see how this actually plays out in reality. Let's look at Shakespeare. Most of us consider him one of the greatest, most original writers in human history, right? But he didn't pull his iconic plots out of thin air. He absolutely did not invent them from scratch. Instead, he heavily adapted them from pre-existing stories and histories. He just took what was already working, remixed it, and added his own specific flavor.
Which brings us to our next concept. Number 2, the Barbie secret, or mixing and matching. This is all about what creativity actually looks like in practice.
Imagine a group of kids playing. They've got a pile of naked Barbie dolls and just a huge random pile of clothes, boots, sparkly dresses, completely mismatched accessories, right? They don't sit down and try to manufacture a brand new dress from scratch. No, they just grab a doll and start mixing and matching whatever pieces catch their eye. And when they're done, they've created an outfit that's incredibly stylish, super creative, and totally new. That is exactly how creativity works for adults too. You're just taking existing pieces of ideas and throwing them together in totally unexpected ways. All right, moving to number 3, steal how they think and the art of research. Since we know we need to mix and match, the very first step is to find your heroes and start gathering those pieces. There's an old saying that perfectly hits the nail on the head here. If you copy from one person, well, it's plagiarism. You're just a knockoff. But if you copy from a ton of different people, that's research. The goal is to gather inspiration from a massive variety of sources so you can build your own unique combination. But here is the real secret to pulling this off effectively. Don't just steal the final thing your heroes make. You've got to steal how they actually think. If you see a hugely successful business, don't just look at their product and try to blindly replicate it. You got to look under the hood. How do they structure their thoughts? How do they approach the market? How do they actually solve problems? A really perfect example of this is Kobe Bryant. When Kobe was a kid, he obsessively watched tapes of his basketball heroes and tried to copy their moves perfectly. But his body was physically different from theirs. He literally couldn't execute the moves exactly the same way. He had to tweak them to fit his own mechanics. And that necessary adaptation, that strict failure to be an exact carbon copy, is exactly where he found his own legendary, unique style on the court. Okay, let's talk about optimizing your environment. Number 4, analog versus digital spaces, and setting up 2 desks. This is an extremely tactical step about where you actually work. Think about it. Most of us try to brainstorm our $1 million ideas while hunched over a laptop. But your computer is actually a massive creativity killer. Why? Because it has a delete button. The second you create on a screen, you instinctively start editing your ideas before they're even half-baked. So successful creators get around this by using 2 totally separate workspaces, an analog desk and a digital desk. So what are the rules for that analog space? 0 electronics. Seriously, none. We are talking just paper, pens, and markers. This is your safe zone to get messy, to scribble, and to let your ideas completely flow without that lingering fear of hitting delete. Then and only then, once the core idea is born, do you pick it up and walk it over to your digital desk to refine it and publish it. Next up, we really need to tackle a major excuse.
Number 5, embrace creative constraints and the power of limits. We have to completely ditch the idea that we need more money or more time or better equipment to be truly creative. The reality is, creativity actually thrives on limits. Take Dr. Seuss, for example. His editor once bet him that he couldn't write a whole book using only 50 different words. 50. Think about how massive of a constraint that is. But that exact limit forced his brain into absolute overdrive, and the result was Green Eggs and Ham, literally one of the best-selling children's books of all time. So if you're starting a business, don't wait for massive funding. Give yourself a limit, like starting with $0 or only using your phone, and just see what incredible things your brain cooks up.
Along with constraints, you should use your own desires as a guide. Write what you want to read. When Austin Kleon was 10 years old, he was so obsessed with Jurassic Park that he just couldn't wait for the sequel. So what'd he do? He sat down and wrote his own version. And honestly, it turned out to be better than the one the studio eventually made. So when you're hunting for that breakthrough idea, look at your favorite products and ask, what did they miss? What would make this cooler? Then just go build the version you personally want to see in the world.
And finally, number 6, start your swipe file, which is your tactical blueprint. Let's take all this theory and turn it into something you can actually do today.
So here is a quick recap of your 5-step blueprint for creative wealth. 1. Stop waiting for pure originality and start collecting ideas worth stealing. 2. Copy how multiple heroes think, not just what they make. 3. Set up that analog desk so you can be messy without a delete button. 4. Embrace constraints to force your brain into new solutions. And 5, build the exact product you personally wish existed. And your immediate action item right now, start a swipe file. Every single time you see a cool ad, a catchy headline, or a really clever business model out in the wild, take a screenshot. Just save all of these in one dedicated folder on your phone or desktop. That way, when you hit a wall, you can just open up that folder and start mixing those different clothes onto your Barbie.
To make this stick, combine your new swipe file habit with the 2-minute rule. Just commit to spending 2 little minutes a day saving a new idea or reviewing your folder. It is such an easy way to keep that creative momentum going without breaking the chain, and before you know it, you'll have built this massive library of inspiration. So, as you go out and take these rules of the money game to build some real wealth, I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. Look around at the content, the businesses, and the art you consume every single day. What existing ideas are you going to start ethically stealing and mixing together today to build something incredibly stylish, totally profitable, and entirely new? Thanks for joining this explainer, and seriously, go start that swipe file.